Hello, I want to talk about police and their role in our society. This is a picture taken probably yesterday or the day before that demonstrates the role of police in our society, but also symbolises the contradiction when it comes to unionised police in our society. This picture is effectively a unionised police force conducting collective action, so literally linking arms, to stop another union from conducting their collective action. So this is from the Amazon strike in America. You know the deal, they're exploiting workers, blah, blah, blah. So workers are on strike so that they can get better pay and conditions and all that. And the police have come in to picket effectively what is already a picket so that Amazon can bring in scab labour and can continue exploiting their workers, but by force. And it kind of symbolises the role of police in not only just they exist so that private corporations can continue to profit, but they also exist to break the strikes of other unions. When they collectivise like this, it is either for the purposes of increasing their pay or to reduce the effectiveness of another union. And I know I've said, police are class traders a bunch of times, but I haven't really explained what I mean by that. So I want to explain that a bit. Police are working class because they work for a wage. They don't own for a wage. If you own for a wage, like if you just own a bunch of property or own a bunch of companies, then you are of the ruling class. But if you actually work to get a wage, then you're working class, generally speaking. There's a bunch of nuances and whatever. But police are working class, working against the interests, of the working class. So quite literally here, the working class is trying to increase their wages by striking, and the police are working to make sure that the other working class people can't actually do that, so that they can keep making the ruling class profit a little bit more. So that's why they're class traders, because they're working class people working against the interests of the working class. Anyways, I don't know if that makes sense, but let me know if that makes sense. This picture should raise questions for our union leaders in Australia, and I want to talk about Victoria specifically because the peak body for unions in Victoria is called Victorian Trades Hall Council. It has a building associated with it. It's called Trades Hall. You may have heard of it. But in Trades Hall, a number of unions have offices there, and one of those unions is the police union. The police union is effectively the union that works to decrease the efficiency and the effectiveness of all of the other unions and to break our strikes. So by letting them into our building, and some of our union leaders celebrate them and call them our comrades in blue, we are reducing our own effectiveness. And that's just not a good move. We shouldn't do that. But yeah, anyways, that's something that happens. That's a contradiction in capitalism that exists. And unfortunately, some of our union leaders support it. Most of the rank and file do not, because they're the ones literally violently removing us from our strikes. Anyway, sorry about the rant. Love you all. I watched the video back and I want to talk a bit more about what the working class is, because I pretty much just said it was, people who work for a wage. And that's not entirely true. Working class also includes people who cannot work. It includes marginalised and oppressed people, people with disabilities, just a very broad range of people who society just disregards. At the end of the Communist Manifesto, it ended with the motto, workers of the world unite, and then, we've nothing to lose but our chains, blah, 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 blah. That motto was actually updated to workers and oppressed people of all countries unite, to be, I guess, more representative of the working class. This is also relevant to the police because their role isn't simply to just make sure that workers can't collectivise and to break their strikes and stuff. It is to protect the interests of capital. And one of the interests of capital is to make sure that marginalised people continue to be oppressed. The well-documented history of police murdering queer people in this country, murdering Indigenous people in this country, and just being evil to people with disabilities and a bunch of other stuff. It's the role of our unions to protect those people, to protect the people on the fringes of our society. By allowing those police unions into our trades halls and into the union-controlled buildings, we are effectively endorsing their behaviour when it comes to marginalised people in our country. So we can just not do that